Well, I'm looking forward to another matchup. It's just another test, I think, for our team against a really good team. And you look back, obviously, as we have at the last game in Waco, and we were just not very competitive at all. And I think we have to amp up our competitive juices for sure. And I think it really gets not much simpler than that. We have to play harder. We've got to play a lot better.
What's changed for this team since then?
I don't know that a lot has necessarily changed. I do think that we've, along the way, not immediately, obviously, after that game, but I do think along the way in the last few weeks we've gotten better defensively. I think that we're starting to shoot the ball a little bit better. I think we went through a little phase where we didn't shoot it great. But I'm pleased with how we're playing right now. I don't know that it has anything to do with that loss. I do think that they didn't want one to turn into 2 or 3 losses, which I was really proud that we didn't do that because we could have tanked it. So proved some mental toughness, I think, just to reset and be able to get the games under our belt that we have since then.
That front court for Baylor is obviously a problem, but Jordan's been playing really well as of late. Just how much is she going to help come Monday night?
I think our whole team's going to have to help if you're talking about trying to guard those guys. They can really put the ball in the basket. And it's just not the 2 bigs. I mean, the guards are playing really, really well. Christy Wallace really hurt us in Waco, and she's playing as good a basketball as any guard in the country. So, I think that everybody focuses on those bigs, and they are really, really good, but I think their team is really solid.
Coach, what stood out to you from the last game that you thought your team really could have done a better job on?
We could have been more competitive.
Now, Brooke was saying that they didn't follow your game plan. So was the game plan be competitive, or what is she talking about when she's saying that?
Well, it's just that you can't follow through with the game plan if you don't show up and compete. And I think that we let some early missed shots sort of send us into a tailspin from our competitive nature. And no matter what goes on when you're starting to play teams that, I mean, it'll carry over into the NCAA tournament. I mean, you're going to have games when you're playing someone that's just as good as you are, if not better, and then you have to figure out a way to compete at that highest level, regardless of whether shots are going in or not. And I think we've done a good job since then. There's been nights we haven't shot well, that we've continued to play defense and rebound and do the little things. But I think if you would talk about not following the game plan, it was more just not being able to stay focused in the moment because they played so well and we didn't.
Coach, obviously Joanna Holmes playing well in the absence of Adrienne, but how does her injury affect the depth of this team, especially having to deal with the bigs all game long against Baylor?
I think it affects our team just because she was an energy player. She was an experienced player. I mean, she'd been starting all year long, so I think when you take experience away and you start to think about putting in players that haven't gotten the same amount of minutes or are young, which is going to be the situation, then you're not bringing the same thing to the table. But I will say that in the past few games since Audrey's been out, I think Jordan Hosey has stepped up. I think Rella's starting to get minutes that she knows matter. So her attention to detail is a little bit better. And the interesting thing is that those guys can score the ball. They're just not as much of a presence defensively. Well, Jordan is, but Rella's still got some work on that. But she can give us some points. So I think it's a trade-off that maybe as we get into postseason play and Rella gets a few more weeks under her belt, we still have Callie that we're working back in the lineup, that I think that we'll be fine.
You mentioned Jordan back-to-back games where she brought a lot of energy, actually put some points on the board as well. How much is she starting to come along at this point of the season?
I think Jordan's just found her niche. I said that a week ago or so in media, that I thought she'd just found a place where she feels really comfortable with what her role is. She does give us energy, and she is always a great teammate. She gives our team enthusiasm. And I think every team needs someone like that that's kind of selfless, and that's pretty much Jordan in a nutshell.
And tomorrow, obviously, it's the Baylor game, but tomorrow's also the Shoot for a Cure game, the pink game. How important is it to have that game every year?
Oh, I think it's extremely important. I think that, I mean, I'm a member of the KYAL organization. You know, I've been on the board, which is kind of where all this sort of initiated. I know that ours is more shoot for a cure, and it is. That's exactly what it is. I mean, we're shooting for awareness more than anything, and I think that it's extremely important to have people have knowledge and be aware of the warning signs of cancer. I think that anything you can do to enhance people's awareness, and again, this isn't just about breast cancer. I think that sort of is the misnomer about this game in general, is that we're in a battle in all cancers, and I think it's a wonderful time to not only acknowledge survivors, but also to raise the awareness.